It is a pleasure to have you with us for session 3 entitled Lighting from Then to Now. To guide us through a history of modern lighting will be Michael Skolin, technical lead from the Clean Lighting Coalition, and Dr. Erwin Edwards, CEO of Atom Solutions Inc. Our moderator is Azel Francis. Once again, welcome. Let's illuminate.
Welcome to Illuminate, Lighting from Then to Now. My name is Azel Francis, and I am joined by Michael Schuland, Technical Lead from the Clean Lighting Coalition, and Dr. Erwin Edwards, CEO of Atom Solutions Inc., for a 15-minute quick-fire discussion on the history of modern lighting, from campfires to super-efficient LEDs. This conversation will explore how the lighting industry has constantly evolved to deliver cost effective, safe, and quality lighting products, arriving at the innovative mercury free LED technology that brings us considerable benefits to people and the planet. Welcome, Mike and Dr. Erwin.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
Excited for today's conversation. So we will jump right in and get started with you, Mike. Can you share with us a bit about the history of modern day lighting?
Sure. I actually had prepared a slide, if that's okay. If we can show that on the screen. Shane, if that's possible. Thank you. Yay. So this, I just wanted to start by saying, lighting is really an enabling technology, which is providing an essential service to improve the quality of our lives. It improves productivity. It improves. It provides safety, for example, when you're out at night or driving in your car. It also helps with education, extending the day so you can study, and so on. And the technologies that have provided light for humans have evolved over time. And if you can go way back into the past, we used to derive light primarily from burning of a fuel. So the fire-based light sources existed, sort of in 125,000 BC. That was the data I found online. Oil wick candles appeared around 4,000 BC, then candles, and then gas lanterns. And all of those are flame-based light sources where you actually are burning a fuel, either the fuel itself or on a wick. And then we developed electrical light sources starting around the 1880s with incandescent lighting. There were several iterations of those, then fluorescent, and high-intensity discharge lights, which are used very often in street lights. And then finally, starting in the 1990s, we started to get white light LEDs. And that's really the light source that we're going to be focusing on today. There are problems with some of these old light sources. For example, flame-based ones are dangerous, and there are house fires and things that result from flame-based light sources. Incandescent is incredibly inefficient. It is a low first cost lamp, but it actually is very expensive to run. And fluorescent and HID light sources contain mercury, which is a very toxic element that, if not disposed of properly, that will get into the landfill and the water and will poison people and the environment in the future. So there are negatives with all the past technologies, and they are inefficient relative to solid-state lighting. So that's partly why we're very excited about this technology. Should you jump to the next slide? This is just very quickly to say that you can find today LEDs in all sectors and all applications. They're in residential, commercial, industrial, and of course outdoor applications, streetlights, and so on. They've really evolved to a very advanced state now. Azel, back to you.
Thank you. And thinking of lighting as a tool, it reminds me of the conversation that we had about lighting not having any bad sources of lighting or bad lighting, but rather incorrect applications. So thank you for sharing that history. I guess thinking about just that evolution, how would you say the technology has really evolved to meet the market demands? And perhaps we'll turn it over to you, Dr. Edwards, to talk about this one.
Thank you very much for that. Well, in certainly across the region, we have seen relatively slow changes in terms of the application technologies. We modern day wise, we are all familiar with incandescent lights. I was always surprised at the knowledge level of the average consumer, where they would refer to their purchases as a 100-watt bulb or a 70-watt bulb or a 60 or 40, and they knew which ones they wanted. And this is without any particular training as relates to converting the power of the bulb to the lumens that they will get. But they understood that if you need a really bright light, you bought a 100 watt light. And they've used that as a guide for a long time. But now that we're entering the space of LEDs, you wouldn't want to go looking for 100-watt LED using the same context as you did with the incandescent light. So things have changed. We have come through the compact fluorescence, and we have seen fairly good transition for the first step. That is moving incandescence to the compacts. So we will have reasonable penetration across the region for this particular type of lighting. And the next step, of course, is moving to LEDs, and that has is happening, but it has not happened as quickly. We'll probably talk a little bit about why that may be, but certainly it is happening more quickly than it did in the past. A lot of the barriers that we had before are being removed. One main one being cost and not actually availability, because we do have access to markets that will provide them. But you've got to be willing to spend a little bit more money. And if people are not comfortable or they don't understand the additional value that they will get from buying an LED equivalent for incandescent, they're going to be hesitant to spend that additional $5, $10. So we've got some barriers we have to deal with, but we have seen a good transition in the first phase, that is moving from incandescents to the compacts. I know that we're going to the LEDs. It's a little bit slower, but we're getting there. And I believe if we continue to send the right messages, if we continue to educate our public, that we will see that transition actually speed up so that we will have a brighter future, if I may call it that.
Ooh, I love that. Ending on a brighter future note. Thinking about that, what would you say, sticking with you, Irwin, what would you say are those benefits of the LED? Recognizing all of the barriers that in the region, why should we transition? What are those benefits?
Now, Mike has a really good slide. If you could, it can be thrown up. But some of those benefits that will resonate with our customer base will be one, cost, not at the point of purchase, but the long term cost. So you need to look at the cost of purchase and also the cost of operation. So if that bulb is going to be with you for 10 years, you would want to know that over that period of time that you do better than you did with incandescents. And also the fact that that light will be with you longer. So whereas an incandescent may last you a few years, the LED promised to last you much longer. So your investment will last you a much longer period of time. Yeah. So when you look at the overall cost, it works out better for you. Then there are the environmental benefits because the LEDs these days will be free of mercury, so we don't have the concerns connected with disposal. Because often we miss that. We miss the cost to environment, etc. at disposal time. You just look at your little bubble, what's happening there. But we need to dispose of the ones that expire or fail. So knowing that we've got mercury free elements to dispose of helps from an environment perspective. So the operational cost is lower. The environmental issues around it are a lot fewer. And then the quality of light. I mean, you can't help notice the sparkle that you get with an LED light compared to previous lights. So the quality is actually better, and that bears out when you look at the lumens that you will get from a lower um, power based light. So for a 15-watt light, you will get a superior output if you were to compare that with the same for incandescents. So your quality of light improves, the quality of the environment improves, and your pocket will also improve throughout the life cycle of the light.
Love that. So it makes economic sense, it makes environmental sense. We even look better. Over
Yes.
to you, Mike.
Yeah.
Over to you,
I
Mike.
couldn't have said it better myself. It was fantastic. Could you pop the slides back up and just go to the next one? We have a little, just to reinforce that point on cost effectiveness, we have a little comparison here. This is looking at a comparison between LED, halogen, fluorescent, and LED. So this would be a typical household lamp that you would use. And we wanted to look at the first cost, and then look at the running costs. Because obviously when you buy a light bulb, you don't buy it to own it, you buy it to use it. And when you use it in your home, if it's inefficient, you pay for that. And it's actually, you end up paying more in power than you do for what you paid for the light bulb. So here, this is some data from South Africa. These are some light bulbs I bought in actually 3 years ago now. This was October 2018. I was in Johannesburg. And the halogen light bulb, so the first one there was 22 Rand. The fluorescent bulb was 30 Rand, and the LED was the same price, 30 Rand. And when you look at the, so that's the first cost in the second row on that table. But then when you go down to the 10-year running cost, which is what Erwin was talking about, when you've owned that light source and you use it in your home for 10 years, you can see that it was nearly 1,000 Rand in running costs to use halogen in that socket in that home. And that's using it for 3 hours per day for 10 years. And the CFL is a lot cheaper. The CFL is the old technology for efficiency. And that's what was promoted, 10, 20 years ago. People said, use CFLs, they'll save you power. They do. You can see there, it was only 265 Rand compared to nearly 1,000. But now that's no longer the case. LED and well, first of all, fluorescent contains mercury, and that's a major problem on disposal. But secondly, LED is now at the same price, maybe a little more expensive. In South Africa, it was the same. Maybe in the Caribbean, it's a little more expensive there right now. But as those volumes increase, as people start buying LED, those prices will come down. And you can see in your home, it's using half the power. So it's only 140 Rand instead of 265 compared to the fluorescent. So it really is, for all the reasons that Erwin said, better quality light, no mercury, more efficient, cost effective. It's definitely the right way to go. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mike. So definitely LEDs are the right choice and the bright choice. Given that, how do we accelerate this market transition to LEDs, given the multitude of benefits that we just went over? And we can start with Mike.
Okay, great. I actually have a slide for this too. Not to have too many slides in today's chat. But this one is it's actually a resource that we've been developing, myself and some colleagues in the Clean Lighting Coalition. It's called a Market Transformation Toolkit. And this is based on something that the UN has published. They call the Integrated Policy Approach. And we've kind of adapted that and really focused it on lighting and projects in lighting. So we have 5 steps, and these are things governments can do in order to, permanently and effectively transform their market to LED lighting, to clean lighting technology. So the first step is product standards. These are things that push the market. They set a mandatory minimum level of quality and performance, and that gets adopted and written into law in your country. And importers and suppliers, manufacturers, it would not be able to bring product below that standard. So you're setting the floor. This is the foundation. Then you have supporting policies. Those are market pull initiatives like labeling. They could be endorsement labels. They could be energy efficiency labels. You could use green procurement specifications, say municipalities buying more efficient light sources. You have communications programs. You build awareness in the public. So those are market pull initiatives that move the market towards more efficient, above the minimum standard, so that the market shifts further to the efficiency side. Then you need to also look at affordability. What are the fiscal instruments, the incentives, perhaps introducing some import duty relief on LED products or components to encourage those. And then there's innovative things you can do with a utility like on-bill financing to help pay for the upfront cost. There's pay-as-you-save programs. There's a lot of different ways that you can cover the cost or reduce the incremental first cost to make LEDs more affordable for households and for businesses. Then, of course, compliance is very important. So if you set standards, if you set mandatory standards, you need to police those. You need to make sure that people comply with them. And so there's a monitoring, a verification, and an enforcement component to the regulation to make sure that people are following the law, that the lighting market is a level playing field, and there isn't any cheating going on to circumvent the regulations. And then finally, at the end of life, LEDs are electronic waste. So, like you would have a microwave or a refrigerator or television, like they're all electronic waste. So they need to be recovered responsibly. They need to be recycled, hopefully repaired, reused in some way. And I do want to differentiate LEDs from fluorescent, where fluorescent is also electronic waste, but it's hazardous waste as well because it contains mercury, and LEDs don't have that. So it's just electronic waste, but it should still be disposed of responsibly. So those are the 5 pieces of what we call our market transformation toolkit, which you can find on our website in the link provided in the slide. Thanks. Erwin, I know you want to add something to this because you've had some experience doing this in the Caribbean.
Yes, I have. Thanks, Mike. And I think that you're on point with those areas that need to be addressed, but there are also some cross-cutting things that we ought to take on board. For example, how a customer may shop. As I said earlier, they've been educated to understand what a 100-watt bulb is or what a 60-watt bulb is. The reality is that is their way of translating these specifications into their own needs. So if they need a bright light, they say need 100-watt. Now we know that's not the case with LEDs. So how do we take the framework that customers are already using and translate it into the LED world? Whether we try to say to them, well, 100 is really 40 LED, 40-watt LED. Or if we come up with some other way, some little chart that's easily posted in the area where in the retail space, so that they can easily see what is the equivalent LED. So they need to be able to understand that. So we need to spend some time to educate them, so that even though they may leave home saying, I'm going to buy a 100-watt bulb, they're really saying, I'm going to buy a bulb with a certain amount of brightness. When they get to the retail store, they will see what that is in terms of LED. Yeah, it's not that people are afraid of LEDs or anything, but they need to understand. They need to make sure that their needs are met. So that's one way we can help the customer experience. One of the things that we need to face in the region is that we have limited resources. So you may say, oh, well, you need to do compliance. That is, you police the industry to make sure that the undesirable bulbs are not on the market. Oftentimes, we don't really have the level of resources we would like to make sure of that. And so we have opted not to go the route of legislating, but rather regulating in a manner that allows, that seeks voluntary compliance. So we try to encourage our importers to import lights that meets the specs that we've set. So if we set a particular minimum energy performance, we work with them, we communicate with them, so that when they go to order, they bring into the country the lights that we would like them to bring. Because as much as we would want to educate customers so that when they go shopping, they will buy product A because it's more efficient than product B. We would love customers to operate at that level, but some people are forced to shop based on what they can afford. So the light that may be inefficient may be relatively cheap. And so today it looks like the best option. Yeah. So in some cases we need to take away the option so that the option now becomes between A and B, not A and Z. So we help them who can't help themselves by only offering a limited menu that we know is nutritious for them. So there are many angles that we need to come at it, from. We need to look at innovative ways to help them to test the market. We did a program in a number of countries where we provided free of charge through the utility. Three, four, five, six LEDs and said, here you go, no cost. Implement these. Hopefully that will get them on that path to reform. Because if they see their bill drop by $20, reality is it may not all be accredited to the LED, but it says, whoa, these things work, and they do work. Yeah. And the next time they're encouraged to buy some more LEDs and that market gets going. And we ought not to be shy in incentivizing this or to subsidize this, because at the end of the day, the net benefit will accrue to the country. We are in a position where it's not just a matter of using less electricity, it is a matter of importing less oil to burn. And yes, Mike, we're not burning wood, but we're still burning a fuel. It's just done at specific locations. Yeah. So we need to
Mhm.
attack it from many different angles and just realize that we're helping individuals and we're helping our countries to save foreign exchange, move away from the volatility of imported energy sources, so we can get more stability in our market and we can control our costs. So there's lots to be done, but there are several institutions working to get that done.
Wow. Thank you both
Awesome.
so much. So certainly what we need is a localized to the CARICOM region market transformation strategy that really is multifaceted, as you have both rightly articulated. So again, thank you so much for joining us and for sharing with us everything that we need to know from lighting from then to now. And at this time, we're unfortunately going to wrap, but I appreciate your time so much today. We have truly learned a lot. Thank you both.
Thank you, Azelle.
Thank you.
Take
You're
care.
welcome.
Cheers, Erwin. Bye now.
Okay. Bye bye, Mike.